from Philippians 4:6. It's a word about anxiety. It says here, be anxious about nothing, but in everything, by prayer and supplication, with thanksgiving, make your requests known to God. That's a great news. I'm not going to ask you to put your hand up if you're anxious, but anxiety is quite a nagging thing, isn't it? It ranges a lot. Somebody once said, sometimes I'm so anxious, she said, that I'm hyperventilating. And that is the case, isn't it? Really, just, it's a sort of psychological panic almost. Other times, which more like to me, it's like a sort of toothache, really. Anxiety is something going along in the subconscious that you keep on coming back to, sort of thing. But it could be any range, and it could be about anything. It could be health anxiety, I've had a bit of that. But, it could be that you're anxious about your finances and the accountant and the bank manager, whatever. It could be anxious about other people, how they feel about you, what they think about you, whether you're okay or not. Anxious about how you look. You may not be anxious about your health, but you just may be anxious that you're aging and anxious about the future. You could be anxious about all sorts of things. I meet people who are anxious about their houses, their decorations, their pets, their gardens. You can be really anxious. You're spiritually anxious as well. I don't feel anything anymore. I'm not sure if God is there or not. Or the future. And the unknown is quite a big thing to be anxious about as well. So when St. Paul says be anxious about nothing, he says nothing. That really takes in everything rather than various sorts of anxiety, isn't it? Now, because anxiety is painful, we do deal with it in a human way with various strategies, and you'll do this, some of you, in one way or another. For instance, we deal with it by seeking amusement. Amusement, amuse, means to seek something which means that you don't think. So, something like, for instance, I don't do it very much myself, but something like these shows on the TV, which are brain dead, reality TV and soap operas and all that sort of thing. You don't have to think about anything, it's just going on and on and on. People younger than us, if you go into a disco or a rock concert, you've just got a wall of sound. Just a wall of sound, you can't think at all. So you can't be anxious either, just boom. I sometimes think I do this with, if I'm anxious about something, I'm going to have to deal with something, I will sit down for 5 minutes and read another paragraph or two out of a book of fiction that I've read before. So you just completely switched off, So you can do that sometimes, just with amusement. On a more serious note, though, you can deal with it through displacement activity. The displacement activity is finding something else to be worried about. Whereas you've got, for instance, somebody might say, somebody I know, they're anxious about their relationship, they might be anxious about their marriage, about their family, so they concentrate on their job. And they're hyperactive in their job. So they've got something else to think about, something else to worry about. You get this in church meetings, especially circuit meetings, all right? Where we ought to be anxious about the fact that we've made very few new members, and the whole circuit membership is 1 year older than when we met last, and so many people have died, and the finances are worse, and everybody's gloomy, and all that sort of thing. So there's real grounds for anxiety. We can move into displacement activity by receiving reports from the Methodist conference and discussing who's going to have a long service certificate for local preaching. All those important things, they're not important, but they're better things to worry about than what we've really got to worry about, and we have a displacement activity. I do that with model railways. I have a friend who does it even more than that. I do, so it gives me a bit of comfort, But when all is really falling around you, you can worry about this boggle nut on this steam engine, Why am I this? Because it's a displacement activity. People get out in their gardens and they're worried about some small green pest. Whereas a bigger anxiety in their minds, we do that. And also we do it through denial. How are you? I'm fine. No, you're not. Yes, I am. Not a good combination of some of those things. When I might have told you before, years ago when I was in London, on a Friday morning, the wife of senior church steward rang up and said, "I'm really sorry, but my husband's just died." This doesn't happen all the time, by the way. So I went round, and sure enough, he was on the floor in the back kitchen behind the door, dead. Which is shocking for her and shocking for me. But she was just so anxious, and she said, "On Friday mornings we always do the church notices. Who's going to do them now?" And of course my immediate thought is, look, stuff the church notices, your husband's dead on the floor. But that's not what you do, is it? You say, yeah, I think we'll work on that. But your mind had gone off something. In denial, in displacement. The trouble with all these various ways, and you might do these and you might recognise it, is if your anxiety is in a little place here, in a box here, all these things mean that we go away. We go off to not think about it. We go off to think about something else we can worry about. We go off, look back and convince ourselves there's nothing there. But when we do come back, it's not any better. In fact, it's probably got worse, and there's more to be anxious about. And I suspect, in my experience as well, that when you've gone off somewhere, your subconscious doesn't like you leaving it and accuses you of neglecting it. And you have these little shots, oh my God, little shots. So this verse gives us the Christian way of dealing with anxiety, which is completely different to this, which in broad terms, I'll come to the details in a minute, in broad terms says something like this. We need to leave our anxieties with the Lord, then He's on the case and we can live normally. When I was about 4, I think I must have been 4 because I was definitely preschool. I could have been 3. I don't know how early you can sing, but anyway. I had to stand on the table in the tin tabernacle opposite my grandmother's house and sing for the Ladies' Fellowship. I think they were all over 90, it seemed to be when I was 3. All your anxieties, all your cares, take to the mercy seat, leave them there. But I was a bit lispy and I didn't know what it meant. And I always used to sing, all your anxieties. I don't know what it was, but basically. But it's a good feeling that you leave your anxieties with Jesus. This is not sort of, abdicating responsibility. He may well bring you back to deal with things. But the idea that you hand them over and then He is on the case, so you can live normally, is a great thing. Because all those other things, when you've gone off, no one's on the case. But with Jesus, when you go off, He's on the case. I think that's a tremendous thing. And a quite different dynamic. Now, Paul says first, be anxious about nothing. You've got to if you're going to do this, it's handing them over to the Lord. You've got to have a decision about it. I've got to decide to do this. It's a command. It doesn't mean wait till you're not feeling anxious for 5 minutes. It says, don't be anxious for nothing. When you are, don't be. It takes a decision. And I think as Christians, we need to take that decision not to be anxious and not to practice in our spirituality all the things I've just talked about. There's no point in practicing amusement in your spirituality. If I can only come and sing, for 20 minutes of my favourite songs with maximum volume and maximum impact, I will be so moved that at the end of the worship I won't be anxious anymore. I haven't handed it over to the Lord, but I just thought that by not thinking about it, I would not think about it anymore because I was so glad singing Majesty or whatever it was, that when I came back it was all gone. It's just spiritual amusement. Sing it again, play it again, so I don't have to come back. Or with displacement activity. I have an opportunity for prayer. Lord, I want to hand over my anxiety to you. But I don't really want to talk about it because it's all a bit worrying. So actually I'll pray other prayers about Africa and Trump and, all those other things that I could be worried about, which are good prayers. So I don't actually bring it up. And then there's the denial thing, isn't it? I don't really want to pray about this because I'm embarrassed that I can't cope. I'm thinking, I can't cope. So I don't want to mention it to anybody. I don't want to mention it to the Lord either. Or perhaps deep down, I don't want to bring it up because I'm not sure God's going to be able to do anything about it. Because he only deals with religious things and this is real sort of thing, And so in the end, I've come to this time of prayer at the end of the time, and I haven't handed it over. Strong, isn't it? Was it in the Lord of the Rings bit, that fairly early on, when Frodo's going to give him the ring, and he never gets round to it. He's always walking out with it. He says, you haven't given it to me yet. And you could go home for a prayer meeting, or a worship service, or a time with the Lord, and you've not handed it over. You've done lots of other worldly things, and as I say, you've sung some good songs and prayed for Africa, and all this, but you didn't hand it over. You say, well, I'm going home now, and the Lord says, well, I saw you still got it. So I think we've got to make that decision. And you say, well, that's very difficult, but you don't make it in isolation. It says, doesn't it, don't be anxious about anything. That's a policy. I will not be anxious, but you've only got to hold it long enough, but with prayer in all things hand it over. It doesn't be very long. You've just got to hand it over. It's a bit like letting go. You don't let something go and let it drop on the floor. You let it go when you hand it over, don't you? I think so. From there we move straight on to, as it says, but in everything by prayer and supplication make your requests known to God. I think we've got to be open with God, not dress it up, not pray a sort of prayer which is all round the edges, But pray about the thing we're really anxious about, which can be painful, because it's a bit like picking a sore place sometimes, isn't it? You've got to say to our Heavenly Father, I need you to touch this, to heal it, although it's sore, and I'm afraid you'll make it worse. To touch my anxiety, But be open by prayer and supplication, and hand it over to. It may well be that now the Lord is on the case, he will draw you back. He will be taking you in his plan for your help and salvation and taking out the anxiety. He could be taking you to your next hospital appointment, to your next bank manager's appointment. He could be taking you to the next conversation you have with so-and-so that you need to forgive or ask for forgiveness. He could be taking you to all those things, but you will be drawn into his strategy for dealing with it. And you won't need to be anxious about that. That official, his servant or his son was healed, he went home. He had to go home. He's still got something to do, but he's not anxious at this point. We let it go. That passage I read to you is from Acts. Peter is in jail, and this is before, the International Court of Human Rights and all that sort of thing. What happened in the morning in relation to what it happened to Jade just the week before was that you came out, you were brought out, everybody shouted, and then you were executed. That was it. That's what happened to Jade. We do not read that Peter was doing lots of praying, but what we do read that he'd gone to sleep. I would have been anxious about the next day, wouldn't you? I'd have been very anxious. But he'd gone to sleep. He doesn't have that anxiety. God is on the case. As we know well from later in the story, when all the guards are asleep and the gates open and all this sort of thing, gosh, you can sleep. You haven't got to be woken up. When he's got his... God says, I've reached the stage on your case that you need to wake up now and come out with me, you see. But the prayer meeting, prayer meeting. They're having an all-night prayer meeting. That must have been really, You know, there's some really kosher churches have all-night prayer meetings, don't they? I'm not knocking them, but they didn't believe what they were praying for. They're still anxious. So when he turns up with the answer that would cease all the anxiety, they're terrified, and they think it might be his angel, as if that is easier than it being him. And when it finally is him, they're even more amazed. So they haven't really had to get over it. We've got the prayer meeting, but it's still ours, you know? We're still worrying it. That's a hand over. But finally, hand over with thanksgiving. Now, I think thanksgiving is a great big in here because it is a symbol, a sign of faith. Give thanks in all things. You're only going to give it over with thanksgiving because you are convinced that he's actually going to do something about it. I think. Remember sometimes on the end of long expeditions, as a young man or a teenager with very heavy rucksack, the last few paces should have been the most exhausting bit before you finally took the rucksack off. But they weren't. They were some of the best bit. Because you thought, we're just going to take it, and you take it off. And, whoa! You don't lie down and think, you think, yeah. There's a sense of thanksgiving in the assurance that this is the end of that. You know? So thanksgiving is a real sign that you believe this stuff. I've laid back my anxiety. The Lord's on the case, and I'm sure. Thanksgiving is a great, powerful thing, isn't it? The power of praise. So I just leave you with one thought, which is not a thought from the Bible at all, actually. It was a thought from a missionary organisation that sends me to their part. And it said, try your hardest, it said, to practice faith in Jesus. In other words, it doesn't matter quoting because it's not biblical. Now, I'd always known that it's no good me preaching to you about anxiety and giving it to the Lord if I don't practice what I preach. Yeah? And, in things like in Thessalonians, Paul is saying, you have done really well, you Thessalonian church, because you have practiced what you believe. You have practiced what your faith is. That's true. We need to do that. We can do it tonight. We can do it when we go home. We need to put it into practice. But the way this was written in this little letter, I thought, it's not I practice it, so I got to do it, but I actually practice doing it. So practice it, like training. And that was a great thought. In other words, you've got to practice. So the model is not one of an examination. I try to give up my anxiety and hand it over to the Lord and fail. It is, I am practicing not being anxious about everything. And I am practicing putting my trust in the Lord. And I'm on the journey. And we're training. And we're getting better. That is hugely encouraging. Because the first time, it's like doing press-ups. It's not good the first time, is it? As you all know. But but that whole spiritual training thing, I'm doing it to get better rather than I'm doing it to fail. That I should practice being anxious about nothing. And you don't get it first time, perhaps. Or you get it a bit and you did last or something like this, and then you go back and do it again and again. And as with most training, you get better. I found training encouraging because I thought, I'm on the case now, we can do this, we can try and we can practice this. And then in the day, you might need to reaffirm it. No, I'm giving it back to you. It's all that temptation to take it back, isn't it? I'm still working. No, give it back to you. With thanksgiving. Anything. And then perhaps after a couple of days you find you didn't take it back. That's good, isn't it? That's good. And but God's on the case from day one. So I leave that thought with you this evening. I think perhaps we could just have a few minutes of prayer. And I would like you to do a bit of practice. I'd like you to think of some anxiety you have. You may be very happy. I hope you are. You do not have to. This is not a sort of big psychological thing. But think of something you're anxious about, small or large. Even if you're happy, you might be anxious it's not going to continue, right? Whatever it is, just pick something and then just come before the Lord in prayer and say, Lord, I will not be anxious. I make a decision in faith tonight that I will not be anxious about this. And before I drop it, I hand it to you with prayer and supplication and thanksgiving, knowing that you are on the case.